Start the recording. So let me look. Slide 45. I jumped to last week's. Okay. So I want you guys to just think about something, right? This is, if you flip, before we jump into Revelation, if you flip to Matthew 24, all right? And it's kind of funny because we were sitting there um, last night and my grandma had put on some Sabbath school study thing, and he was talking about love, right? We had discussed this heavily in Corinthians uh, when we went through the chapter 13, right? The love chapter, whatever. And we had discussed what biblical love looks like, right? The definition for this. And he had brought up this verse, Matthew 24:12. Um, and then I started thinking
Josh
how
Jitter.
this pairs so closely with what we're reading in Revelation. So Matthew 24, starting at 10, it says, "And then many will stumble, they will deliver one another up, and they will hate one another. And many false prophets will rise up and lead many astray. And because of the increase in lawlessness," right? So there's a cause and effect here, right? Because of the increase in lawlessness, the love of many will become cold, but he who will have endured to the end will be saved. So, if we think about the biblical love, right? The unprofiting, unconditional, general, common concern and care for another, right? And then we saw that in Webster's. It said the way that God would love his people, right? We live a different life where we feel and believe that the Torah will naturally come to those who trust in the Messiah. Right? If I trust in the Messiah, I trust in the Father, I trust in their words, I trust in Scripture, then naturally I will start to obey and observe all of the commands that the Father has ever given. Right? It's a out of my love and trust and belief, naturally, we just begin to, oh, wow. Oh, this day's important to you? Well, let me keep it. Oh, we're not supposed to do this on this important day? Oh, okay, awesome. We won't do this. Oh, we're not, oh, you don't want us to do this? Oh, you do want us to keep these feasts? Oh, you want us to stay away from this or from that? Okay, got it. So our love and our trust and our belief in Yeshua Messiah, he reveals to us the Father. We've discussed this many times, right? The Father reveals to us the Son. And if we accept the Son through our relationship of building with the Messiah, the Son, he reveals to us who his Father is. In that revealing, we see that there is a standard for his people, and we naturally gravitate to that. And then once we do, we realize the benefits. Me and Zuki were just talking about this. We've had a lot this last like month and a half. And this last Sabbath rest before we made the drive down here, we were sitting there and we were looking at each other, and I just thought, dude, could you imagine how mentally and physically drained we would be if we had not had this Sabbath rest where we just laid around on the ground? We had no bed, we had a blanket and pillows on the ground. But it's a thing that came naturally. So here Yeshua is explaining something to disciples. And think about, because of the increase in lawlessness, the love of many become cold, but he who will have endured to the end will be saved. So even though everyone around you is cold, everyone around you has no concerns for the Father or the Word. Everybody around you has no general concern and well-being for others unless, there's some kind of profit in it for them. But those who have endured in the end will be saved. Think about how this can pair with what's being said in the book of Revelation. All right. Can you guys still hear me and see the screen?
Yep,
Yes.
still hear you.
All right. Sorry, hold on a second. All right. Sorry, guys. Our computer screen thing just broke, so I'm trying to switch it to a different one. All right. Can you guys see now?
Sure can, Zach.
All right. All right. So just something to think about, right? The connection of lawlessness, the connection of the lack of love, and those that endure in the end will be saved. All right. And then we will begin. We'll pick up. All right. All right, Kenny, if you want to pick up.
Right. Am I 5 by 5? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. All right. Okay. I thought we were further along. We're just at chapter 2.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
we literally just started. I just wanted to cover that Matthew 24.
okay. All right. Okay, so we're starting out on Pergamos, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. And to the messenger of the to the messenger of the assembly of Pergamos, he who has the sharp two-edged sword says this: I know your works and where you dwell, where the throne of Satan is, and you hold fast to my name. I did not deny belief in me, even in the days in which Antipas, my trustworthy witness, who was killed near you, where Satan dwells. Now, interestingly enough, right here in this text, it tells you who the name is. Wait a minute, it doesn't even show it in yours, Zach. Oh yeah, it does, Antipas. Well, in the Lambs's edition, it does not say that. So, is it good? Is it bad? It's neither. It's just know that in the Lambs's edition, that part of the text does not exist there. All right. In Lambs's edition, uh 2:12. It says, to the angel of the church in Pergamos, write these things, says he who has the sharp two-edged sword. I know your works, where you dwell, even where Satan's seat is. Hmm. And you uphold my name, and you did not deny my faith, even in those days when that witness of mine appeared, that faithful one of mine who was slain among you where Satan dwells. So is it good? Is it bad? Does it make one better than the other? No, that's not even an argument. It's not even, just know that there's a difference in that wording. Um, so I'm thinking the reason why we already did this, because me and Zach talked about this uh, uh, a couple weeks ago. Interestingly enough, here at Pergamos, where this assembly of believers is, that throne that they're talking about is sent to Germany in the uh Zach, you got the slide on that, what year that was? Yeah, right here.
I don't have the year. I think it was like 31. I can look it up.
Yeah, I think 1931, and then 2 years later, World War II starts. It's kind of crazy. No, 5 years later, World War II starts, and Germany's going ballistic. Immediate within the decade of them picking up this throne of Satan brick by brick, stone by stone, and moving it to I think it was in Berlin,
Yeah,
or was it Munich?
so it started being excavated in 1878, and then between 1910 and 1930, it was rebuilt in Berlin.
There we go.
So here's
Yeah.
the yeah, here's the entrance to it, right? Here's a little bit of what's on it. Here's some more on the other side. Notice all the serpents. Notice the names of these gods down here. And here's kind of what it looks like. This is what they brought from Turkey.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? So it's a real thing. And this was in Pergamus, and now it's in Berlin. It's still there to this day. Uh, and it, me and Christo was talking about this week. Uh, as we read further along, we're going to get to the part where it talks about in chapter 4 and chapter 5, it talks about the throne of the Most High, right? And what that seat looks like, and what even in the book of Enoch, it talks about this. Do you know there's not an original thought amongst the angels nor amongst mankind? Apparently, this idea of a throne, this came, they cannot invent, they cannot conceive uh, an original thought. And here again, they're the whole idea of a throne, someone like actually in charge, this comes all the way back from the Most High. So when Satan says, I want to be like the Most High and all this other stuff, when those angels got kicked out and they came down to earth, they can only do things that they have seen. They don't have an original thought. It's a I don't know if that makes sense, but it's pretty wild, and we'll kind of get into that a little bit later. Did you have any more pictures on this, Zach?
Look, I think that was it. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. All right. So uh look at what this thing was back in verse 13. It says, and did not deny belief in me. You remember last week or the last time we met, it was really a big deal about what was that guy's name that we read in from the Smyrna church? When he was standing before the judges and that throne, he says, I do not deny the one who I've served all these years. That was a big deal. It's a big deal now, and it's going to be a big deal in the future. So, uh, did not deny belief in me. This is a and it this is the Messiah speaking to the pastor or the leader of this group. He's not talking to the group. Look how a big of a deal it is that he points that thing out. You did not deny belief in me. Oh boy. All right. But I hold a few matters against you because you have those there who adhere to the teaching of Balaam, who taught Balak to put a stumbling block before the children of Israel, to eat foods offered to idols, and to commit whoring. All right. So you also have those who adhere to the teaching of the Nicolaitans, which I hate. Repent, or else I will come to you speedily and fight against them with the sword of my mouth. He who has an ear to hear what the Spirit says to the assemblies, to him who overcomes, I will give some of the hidden manna to eat, and I will give him a white stone, and on the stone a renewed name, which no one knows except him who receives it. All right. So, right here on this, in chapter or verse 14, if you were to put a circle around that where it talks about foods offered to sacrifices or offered to idols and those who commit whoring. In your text, in your personal text, if you draw a line down to chapter 2, verse 20, this is another church. They're doing the same thing. They are, it says this in verse 20, it says, Behold, I hold this against you. You allow that woman, Jezebel, who calls herself a prophetess, to teach and lead my servants astray, to commit whoring and to eat foods offered to idols. I think I said in last time, I believe that there is a very strong connection with whatever these Nicolaitan people were doing had something to do. They had crept into the church. They've crept into the assembly of the believers, and they were doing this and probably telling others it was okay to do this. So, well, when we go back and look at Acts chapter 15, verse 19, it states this. And so obviously it was a really, really, really big deal. And it's something that uh, is not mentioned in the churches today because the Lord gave us all the animals to eat because it was given to a vision and uh, baloney. Look at what the master is rebuking these. Stand back and look at what the master, he's rebuking them in this time, saying they were eating foods offered to idols and they were committing whoring. So if it was a big deal then, it's a big deal now. So we need to be aware of where and how our food is taken care of and prepared. Acts 15:19, it states this. All right. Uh, let's see. Therefore, I judge that. Uh, hold on, let me back up just a little bit. Let's start at chapter. I'll just read this out loud. In chapter 15, verse 12, it says, All the crowd was silent and were listening to Barnabas and Paul declaring how many miracles and wonders Elohim did among the nations through them. Now, interesting, there was miracles being done through Barnabas and Shaul and Paul. That's an interesting thing to consider. And after they were silent, Jacob answered, or Yaakov answered, saying, Men, brothers, listen to me. Simon has declared how Elohim first visited the nations to take out of them a people for his name. And the words of the prophets agree with this, as it has been written. After this, I will return and rebuild the house of David, which has fallen down. I will rebuild its ruins and I will set it up so that a remnant of mankind will seek Yahweh. Oh, a remnant, not all of mankind, but a remnant of mankind will seek Yahweh. Even all the nations on whom my name has been called, says Yahweh, from the defilements of idols and from whoring and from what strangled and from blood or from ancient generations, Moses in every city, uh, those proclaiming him is read in the congregations every Shabbat. Hmm. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So it was a problem then, and a lot of you'd be surprised it is a problem now. Okay. All right. To him who overcomes, I will give. I'm back in verse 17, chapter 12, or chapter 2, Revelation, verse 17. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the assemblies. To him who overcomes, I will give some of the hidden manna to eat. I will give him a white stone, and on the stone a renewed name or a new name written, which no one knows except him who receives it. Man, this new name thing is a very interesting thing. Even Yeshua, he has a name on him that no one really knows it but him. Hold on, and I will. But this isn't in the slideshow, but I will read it out for you. Uh, hold on one second. Let me find it. If you right beside this verse here in chapter 2, verse 17, if you write off to the side, uh, 19, verse 12, it states this: His eyes were as a flame of fire, on his head were many crowns, having a name that had been written, which no one perceived except himself. So there's a there's a sideline group of information that is woven throughout all of Revelation. Think about this. So all judgment has been handed over to the Son. And from the Son, he gives all judgment to his elect, the believers in the Messiah. They're going to be sitting on thrones with him on that mountain, on that area. Well, the same thing. Father's going to put a name on him no one knows except Yeshua. He's going to give us a name that no one knows except us individually. There's so many things that we should really think, be mindful, just be mindful of these things. So, another thing, when you're praying, when you're got your room closed and you're thinking to the Lord, this is something one of the things, every time we come, he who has what the Spirit says to the assemblies, we want to pay attention to those things and ask him, hey, what is to prevent you from letting this be spoken of to me or about me? What is to prevent you from giving me a stone that no one knows except for me? It's a very interesting thing. It is you're acknowledging that that's gonna it's a it, by the sheer fact that you're acknowledging that that's what's going to take place. um you're uh what's the right word? I can't think of the right words, but you're acknowledging, oh, you remember the testimony of Yeshua later on in the book of Revelation. It says that the the person who has the testimony or witness of Yeshua, that is the spirit of prophecy. For you acknowledging that these facts of what's going to be given to his elect, guess what? That is the spirit of prophecy. You said you're going to do this. You're going to be giving these stones out to people with no one with a name that no one knows except the person who a white stone, not a black stone, not a blue stone, specifically a white stone. You're acknowledging the fact that these things are in fact going to take place. That is the spirit of prophecy. It changes our whole construct of what a so-called prophet is. By the way, prophets of the old days, the things that they were speaking of, it was just a matter of fact. They knew these things were going to take place. I challenge your uh, and mine understanding on what a prophet is. By the way, I'll give you that verse just so you have a reference. Chapter 19, verse 10. It states, "For the witness of Yeshua is the spirit of prophecy." Well, interestingly enough, that believer that was executed, that turned into a loaf of bread, or it was baked like a loaf of bread in the stadium, what he spoke to the assembly or to all these people, he goes, "You do not know the judgment that is coming to the nations." He gives a full on, he does this. He's telling the people there's going to be a judgment coming upon the nations and it's not going to end well for them. He also says, "I will not deny the name. I will not deny my trust in the Messiah." I don't know if any of you ever took the chance to go and look for that text, but his uh, his testimony of his belief in the Messiah never wavered. And he happened, the Lord sent him a message in advance, knowing that he was going to had to be burned alive. It was just a thing. So quite interesting. And that that letter is dedicated to this time frame. So it's important and it's a thing to be aware of. So
Hey, so
go
something
ahead.
else too. I don't know if you guys noticed, but when you originally read this, it said, "I'll give him a white stone, and on that stone a renewed." So we're gonna cover this word, new, not renewed, in the Church of Philadelphia. But I did edit it, and I removed renewed because similar to the word shall and will, right? How we replace the word shall with will. Uh, we'll cover this more in Philadelphia, just so you guys.
Yeah.
Uh, in case you've seen that.
And that word new, it just means a fresh. If you were to sit down in the Lineal Bible and find that Greek word, it just means fresh, like a fresh whatever. Yeah, fresh piece of fruit. That's the mindset of it. Okay. All
All right.
right.
I'm gonna pause the recording because we're done
Okay.
with Pergamos.